afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome. After a week off, we are back. Art and Greg, Post and Walters. Ask us anything. Today is, what is today? Oh, it's April 5th. Wow. Spring has sprung in some
Yeah,
places.
no,
It's,
not here in Jersey.
yeah, that's right. You guys getting big snowstorm and everything else. What's going on in the industry the beginning of April? Nah, nothing. Same old, same old.
Well, I don't know. Last
I
couple
know.
of days have been interesting to say the least, right?
Yeah, yeah. Quick, let's see. I'll do a quick update on AI. It's everywhere, but our industry. So that's, I'm sure we'll talk more about it. But yeah, spring business. What isn't there is it's what's the big show in Europe? Drupa?
Drupa,
Is that coming
Dusseldorf,
up?
coming up
Dusseldorf.
in June or
Oh,
July.
plenty of
It,
time.
it, it is the Olympics of the print industry every
That's
four
right.
years.
Every 4 weeks or 4 years.
Yeah, I was hoping we could go and do a show there,
That'd be cool.
right?
Dusseldorf. Get
Right.
some strudel. Dusseldorf. I think I remember that from Hogan's Heroes.
Could have been.
What's up with you, Art? How you doing?
Keeping my head above water.
Ugh.
April's a little bit of a tough month.
Hmm.
But it is what it is. I'm on vacation from the 15th all the way to the 22nd. I'll be in Jamaica on my President's Club trip.
That's cool.
So I got a week. Since our month ends on the 23rd, I will be back for the last day of the month, and I've only got a week left. And things don't look that promising for April. But,
Hmm.
it's just that everything is stalled. So good sales question, right?
Yeah.
As a salesperson,
Hmm.
what do you do when everything has stalled? So you've got 20, 25 opportunities. You look at them, you can say they're scheduled to go in April or May. You got 60, 70. I never put anything at 100%.
Mm-mm.
It's only 100% if I get the paperwork signed and the
Even
machine's
that
delivered,
is.
right?
Hmm.
So I'm all 60 to 70% or less in some of these opportunities, but I try and track opportunities over not monthly, but over every 2 months, right?
Sure.
So what happens when everything is stalled? What do you do?
Grin and bear it. Or, all problems are upstream, in my opinion. So you've got 25 opportunities that are all stalled. If you had 50, I mean, this is the standard managerial response, right? If the 25 are stalled or whatever the number is, then you should have had 30 in the funnel or 20 or
Correct,
50. You know what I mean?
correct, Mundo. So when everything is stalled, you just you got to go out and find more opportunities. And then sooner or later, you're building, building, building. That freaking dam is going to break.
The ice dam will, it always does
It
break.
always
But
does.
especially, I write the column for the newer guys, and I'm talking first 24, 36 months in, you're going to have that happen. And like you're having it now. You've been in it for at least what, 36 months now you've been selling.
Yeah. At
uh,
least 30, so a good
at least
36 months.
a good 36. It happens to everyone. And with the new guys and the new folks, just don't get, boy, it's tough, right? Don't get, how do you say, don't get depressed. But
Hey man, so for anybody who's new who's watching this, I get depressed.
yeah.
I look at myself and I'm going, okay, what the frack am I doing wrong?
Oh,
Well, I beat myself up over it, but you know, really, I'm not doing a damn thing wrong. I'm doing everything right.
that's
It
right.
Everything comes in cycles, and where I had a quarter that was 200K in revenue,
Hmm.
I'm probably going to pay a little bit back in April. But
Yeah.
the good side is you just keep building opportunities, and like you said, that ice dam or that dam is going to break. And luckily, every quarter is 3 months, not 1 month,
Right.
and it will break.
It'll break. I mean, it does. Just stick with it. That was the other thing I was going to say. All right. So, saying that you should have had 50, now you only have 25 or whatever it is, right? I mean, at this point in time, is that, well, yeah, you're right, but I don't. So now what do I do? You need to get those things are going to close in 7 days. maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can't push like that. You used to be able to push
Oh
like
my
that,
God.
but you can't push
Do
like
it.
that. You can't push like that anymore. And the worst thing you can do
It's
with 7 days left is start doing some type of drop close,
ugh.
right?
Well, I got
That
nightmare stories because you'll taint the whole deal. And if it is legitimately, and it, again, if it's legitimately stalled for good reasons, because you know it, because you know
right,
what's going on in the account, whatever.
right,
Um, and this is where I have problems with management because they'll look at numbers on. You got 3 days left in the month.
yep,
You said, and here you go back to your mistake. You said this was 90% at the beginning of the month because
right,
that's what we used to do.
right,
Yeah, go close this. Do what you have to do. Here's some coupons for some free pie. Get him to sign and give him a pie. I'll never forget that story.
right.
And I mean, that's a real story. And you'll just poison it for the next 30 days.
I've always told anybody who's I had a couple, not many, but I've had a couple sales managers over time.
Uh-huh.
And well, what are you going to close? Well, I told them, listen, I'm not a soothsayer, right? I can't predict. So I'm probably never going to list anything at 90%. It's
Right.
just it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'm never going to list anything at 100%. It's always going to be 60 to 70 because anything can happen.
You
Anything.
know, Art, that's probably more true now than, I mean, it was true back then, but now, just in the last 3 or 4 years, right? Anything can happen. And heck, it has happened. It's,
COVID,
yeah, go predict you.
earthquakes.
What was your earthquakes? What was your forecast February of 2020, right? Was that when COVID hit in March or whatever? Yeah, everyone had forecasts. Everyone had 80, 90% close rates. That was going to be a great summer.
Yeah,
Didn't happen. So anything can happen. Anyway, yeah. So good question though.
yeah,
Good
absolutely.
question.
Absolutely.
What else you got, Art?
Kind of coming out to layoffs,
Yeah. Well, they're going to hit. I saw that Apple laid off 700 today.
right?
So
Well,
yeah.
I don't think Apple laid off 700 because they weren't making money because their profit levels weren't good.
Oh,
The press release for Konica Minolta stated they wanted to return to profit.
I missed that. When was that? Was that today or last few
No, no,
days?
over just a combination of two or three different articles and a combination of how people were reporting about the press release.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Right. I hate to
Well,
see it. I hate to see it. But in one of my threads I posted on LinkedIn, I stated, well, you know, and I understand they're under um, stress from the shareholders to get back to profit. And I know immediately cutting staff will get you back to profit. But sometimes you just gotta grin and bear it and say, you know what? Maybe we don't need to let go of those people. Maybe we just need to raise our prices. Maybe we need to teach them about the value of what we offer. Look what Apple did for years, right?
hmm
Apple
well,
products aren't cheap by any means.
oh no, they're the
You
most
pay
expensive.
you
They're the
pay for
most
anything
expensive.
that's Apple. And what have they created? Everybody wants an Apple product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The-
Well, that's a tough one to push on the copier industry, though. Honest to God, I mean, it's Art. It's going to happen. We've talked about this for almost a decade, right? The same old numbers, the same old people are still playing. The only people that gotten out in the last 15 years was Panasonic, right? There were a few companies. You can argue that Icon didn't go away, but it was enveloped. Ose, right? Quote unquote, out of it.
Ose got bought.
But Toshiba's still around.
They're all around.
Sharp is still around. I
They're
mean, these are
all
the
they're
little guys. Yeah.
they're all around. When we look at all these players in the US marketplace, we think about we're closed. We just think about that US slave marketplace and what their share
Right.
is. And we think about, well, how can Toshiba survive or how can Sharp survive with such a small market share in the US?
Kyocera. Kyocera.
Yes, sir. Right. But it's not about our market share. It's about the global market
Mhm.
share. And some of these companies have a much better market presence and percentage of market in different like the oceanic, which they call, I
Mhm.
think is New Zealand, Australia, Asia, which is China, Japan,
Oh yeah, the
those
Korean
areas.
Peninsula, all, you know, Taiwan,
Right,
Vietnam,
right.
those, yep.
So if you look at some of those numbers, Sharp and Kyocera and Toshiba have much bigger numbers overseas.
The
But
emerging
again,
markets. Yeah.
we don't see it, right?
No.
Right?
No. Yeah. So well, it is unfortunate, but gal, I mean, Xerox went through it. They might go through it again. HP, boy, remember the years of HP's turmoil from Mark Hurd to what's her name that got in? I forget her name. I mean,
And
that was crazy. Orc, yeah, Anne, and then Ursula over at Xerox. I mean,
yep.
those were turbulent years. And they
Mhm.
made it through. I don't I don't know. The next round, I mean, even IBM to extent before them, they did a huge transformation and they got through.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, but you know, now that you brought it up, to think about it, Konica Minolta unfortunately is in that position to where they're not really small, right? So they don't, you know, they have a small market share, so their cost of doing business isn't as big. They're not so big that they can't fail like HP or Xerox or maybe even Canon and Ricoh. So they're right in that sweet spot. They've got medical equipment too. Is that what imaging? Don't
Medical
they do?
equipment,
Yeah,
robots. They do
robots.
some robot stuff, some security stuff. Just like all the other Japanese
Yeah,
manufacturers,
yeah.
they got their hands in a bunch of different um
Mm. Well,
markets.
they're in that realm of they're in the zone, they're in the bullseye to where something could happen. But then, and I don't, you know, I don't mean this any other way, but the Japanese companies tend to take care of themselves as well.
Yes,
So
they
we'll see.
do.
You know, they get there's a what is that? There's a consortium out there, right? Is Konica part of that?
They're a consortium. I don't think they,
I don't think they
I
are.
don't think they, I don't think they are. But as you said, the Japanese government will always take care of their own,
Yeah.
especially if they are faltering.
Right. But that doesn't mean they won't cut the you know, the US market down. Who knows? But you know,
No,
and I
but
don't
look what they did. Correct. But and look what they did with Toshiba in Japan.
yeah.
It was what I think by I forget the
Yeah, well, I
Japanese
forget that one.
Innovation Network or something like that.
Yep. Yep. So there's a communal thing out there when it comes to those kinds of business that you wouldn't see here. You wouldn't see that here. You wouldn't see
No, no, not
Apple
at all.
working with Droid and things like that, or yeah, IBM and or not IBM, but Xerox and HP. They were at each other's throats all the time. Oh well.
Hmm.
Well, that's interesting. I think we're still seeing some consolidation in terms of dealers getting bought. Didn't we just see a few over the last few weeks? You know, I don't keep track anymore. It's like,
Yeah, a few came across. Yeah,
yeah,
nothing. I don't think it was it. I think recently Xerox had made a purchase. Um, I see them. I skimmed through them.
yeah, I skimmed
Um,
through. Yeah, they used to be a big
if
deal.
it's
It's
yeah, if it's not anything big, it really just goes by the wayside for me.
yeah, same here. Same with financials. I used to watch all the financial statements, you know, all the earnings calls, and maybe it was more interesting back then because of the turbulence and the dynamic environments. But after 8 or 9 years, you get to realize, maybe longer than that, is that they're telling you what they want you to hear. There is no real data. You have to dig deep and then insinuate how the company's really doing, because they're going every single earnings call is going to be a positive spin no matter what. And
Right,
even when you dig into the numbers, they know how to, and I don't want to say this incorrectly, but they know how to put numbers in the best light possible. Let me put it there. So you got to dig. And then, it's like, okay, so you read these, you analyze them. Like, Art, what are you going to do with that information on Monday? Nothing, right? I mean, what if Xerox stock goes down? Unless you've got a 401k, you're still going to go try and sell a machine on Monday
well,
morning, right? I mean,
I did send an email out to someone today, just letting them know that that KM machine that they're going to buy, they've just letting go of 2,400 people.
hmm.
Will it work? Nah,
Has
probably
it ever
not.
though? All right, that's a good. Now, see, I get that. I've done that. That's what you do. You make someone aware of what the situation is.
Yeah, you just got to be aware. And if you're getting into a 5-year lease, you should, you know what? Even if you don't do business with me, you should at least be aware of what you're getting into.
Yeah. Wow.
Could be earth shattering for some businesses.
No, it really could. And then, but see, that's the whole thing we're talking about. I mean, overall demand, right? There are a lot of suppliers on the supply side of the equation,
Mhm.
but demand is still, it ain't growing,
Oh,
guys. It's still shrinking.
you know what I saw recently?
Hmm.
Excuse me. Placements on LinkedIn. People taking jobs with um, Fuji in the
With
U.S. marketplace.
Fuji,
Mhm.
really? So what was the data? What did it show?
Um, Technicians,
So more people so did
production,
are you saying
production type
that makes
techs,
sense?
production type salespeople.
Really?
Mhm.
So they're hiring or are they looking for? Is that what I missed it? So
Well,
tell me
they're
about it.
obviously they're looking, and obviously
Okay.
by people announcing they just took a job with,
Oh, you've been
you
seeing
know,
that. All
oh
right.
yeah, Fuji for congratulate me. I just took a job here. Um, you know,
God,
I
haven't seen that in a while. I mean, seriously, it's like that's cool.
yeah, yeah.
So do you think
So
it has to go back with what we were talking about a couple weeks ago that, you know, like we were talking about the scanners and things like that? Is that so there's demand
I think,
for digesting printed documents digitally, do you
well,
think?
there's a demand for production
Oh, on
growth,
production, yeah.
production growth is still there, right?
Forgive me, I don't know what kind of engines Fuji has on the production
Oh,
side. Do you?
they're pretty big
Oh, I
with
didn't know that.
production. Yeah, matter of fact, Sharp just took one or two of their machines and put it into their portfolio for production machines.
Oh, so
Hmm.
and we're talking Fuji, right? Is that
Fuji,
so? The X
they're actually
Xerox, yeah,
correct. They're labeled as Fuji Business Innovation. That I like to call them the FBI.
I like that too.
So do I.
Right. So that's interesting. Well, see, production though, that's the market. Production wide format. I think if there's, we'll call it growth, but there's penetration opportunity in there for sure
There's
because
growth.
we haven't done it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still growth. And if you were out, if we had the chance to go to Drupa in Dusseldorf, our jaws would probably drop
Well,
at all the
yeah.
different production print devices.
Oh my God. I remember when Indigo was not HP. And then when it was HP, that was a huge deal. It's weird, Art. My sister is in the paper industry on the production side, on the high end. Like, who would, if you go buy a car, you go into the dealership, that type paper that they have in those, you know what I'm talking about, the automobile catalogs, not the catalogs, but here, you want
Yeah,
to get a Cadillac? Well, here's the brochure.
the gloss,
Oh my God,
the
yes.
the high end gloss, the high end
High
thick,
end gloss, and just is you got UV, you've got this stuff that is water resistant. So,
brown
because
coat, Tyvek.
even bigger, right? And then
Mhm.
this boy, we're going on a tangent, but this company that she's with long ago moved from. I mean, they closed a bunch of paper plants in the U.S.
Yes, they
This,
do.
a
Yep.
decade and a half ago, right? That's when the big, okay, you guys are selling more copies, but look, we're killing plants. But they moved into packaging, and then not, like before COVID, well before COVID, and not corrugated, but the custom
So,
packaging,
yep. Yep.
which
So, dude,
blew up.
I think it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when Muratech started in their label machines, right?
Oh yeah, my
Right,
God.
right. When they weren't associated with Konica Minolta, but they had the right idea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's where all your print is going to migrate to, right?
yeah.
And people, I was poo-pooed by some people. You probably know
I
one
was
other
probably one of
person,
them, but anyway, go on.
and they said, well, no color labels, no, it ain't gonna happen. And recently, Konica Minolta now has a production color label machine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Couple other of the big players in the industry have it. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Gandy. And then recently, Canon just introduced their
You're kidding
own
me.
production label piece of equipment. And if you think about it, there's a color label on everything you get.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the growth there is enormous.
I am probably a victim to my old school bias. When I hear labels, I think of an Epson LQ 1050 and those peel off labels, mailing labels that would peel off of the stickers and get on the
Right,
platen and jack the whole system up. So I'm like, labels. I don't want
right.
anything to do with labels. And it might have been 2013 or so when I think it was a Lyra conference. Someone called out labels, food service label, those type packaging labels as a growth
Absolutely.
market. And I'm going,
Absolutely.
wait a minute. We're gonna make, and I was one of those, yeah, but there can't be that big of a, I mean,
It was
or
never
something's wrong.
in 2013, it was still an analog process.
Oh yes. Yes.
And it was just making the change to digital, that they were the last ones to make that conversion from analog
That's
label
it.
machines over to digital. And it's
Digital.
still happening. It's not over. It's not over yet.
It's very interesting. Yes, because the press, that side of the business was
Started
not,
earlier,
yep,
2002, 2004. You started seeing your first inklings of production high-speed copiers.
high speed production with digital. And then that's when the whole 1-to-1 and all that kind of, because once you
Print on
digitated,
demand,
yep,
print on
yeah, print
demand.
on demand, that's actually where we're at right now, right? Because is what we're talking about production out of the channel is isn't it considered light, or was it at one time considered light production? Right? It's
That was a different segment of production machines. Now
right.
there was originally it was just production. Now it's a segmented that there's a light production and a just a production.
Not to get too crazy, but is that between seg 5 and 6, or is it segment 5?
I would say that's oh God,
I
you're
know.
testing me in my segments. I think that would be segment segment five, 50, 60 pages, 60 to 70 page
Hmm.
machines.
Yeah, see, that's just it. The segs hasn't changed. The machines inside have. So you
Right.
never, like you. God dang, talk about getting old. Used to equate. If something could do 100 pages per minute, that was a good, fast, and robust device. When I think
Right.
of the big Osei green machines,
Yeah,
they
they
were
were big
analog. When I got in, it was an
and they were
analog.
green.
Oh, they were green, but gosh darn, that thing could print and kick out 24/7. Just you had to feed it paper. Anyway, wow.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's old school. So, well, are you what are you seeing in terms of the Doc Man, um, digital workflow, stuff like that? You know,
It's
you hearing
tough.
anything on the street? Is it still
Um,
going, or what's
just a
the?
recent bunch of threads on my website.
Mhm.
Basically, um, it's more like pulling teeth,
Oh, you're kidding me.
engagements taking longer than
Well,
expected. I'm working on an engagement that's 18 months old for a
year
half
and
a
a half.
million dollars. And
So, oh
if
boy.
something keeps coming into a stall, or okay, we want some more information, and then we get into a stall. Um,
Well, then, man, there's a lot in here. I'd just love to talk about. So it's organizationally, but see, you got to. I've got to believe that the digital landscape is changing in the last 18 months anyway, right? And if someone were going to pull the trigger on a digital workflow solution, and they started 12 months ago, they must be putting the brakes on, because with just the whole buzz with the AI thing, which I don't think has anything to do with it.
my thought is technology is changing so quickly
Yeah.
that budgets that budgets that were
Budgets.
earmarked, so earmarked for maybe document management, they something else came up,
Interesting.
something else came up, maybe they wanted to move everything, migrate everything to the cloud.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
necessity. Maybe their ERP system is now outdated. Maybe they had to, um, um, uh, you know, upgrade, SAP.
How about yeah, our remote work, right? I mean, on the technology side, that took a lot of resources from IT departments away from other projects to figure out how the VPNs, how to make these people talk to us, how to connect with our remote workers.
How to make them safe and secure.
Oh my gosh, secure
Right.
the whole gambit. Are you seeing that, or what's your impression there?
Not much.
Hmm.
Um, I don't have anybody using that as an objection.
Okay. Well, more in general,
I
wow, I like because where you're at, okay, we've explored this. You're in a really good position to get the feel for, not like in spite of the hype, right? The AI hype, the work from home hype, the commercial real estate hype, which by the way, real numbers say that office occupation is down a lot. But I don't know how that equates into sales or no sales for office equipment and technology. I don't know if anyone can really call that out. My initial thing would be, well, if there's less people in the office, then there should be less copiers being sold. But I don't know if that's true. I mean, we're still,
there's I think there was a report came across that I think the last quarter there was I think it's put out by IDC Hardware or something like that.
mhm.
They put something down that um, the manufacturers had a 10% drop in units that were shipped during the last quarter.
Okay, that's a lot. That's
Something,
units.
something in that number. Yeah, but also you got, you understand that those numbers are in the uh, freaking millions of units.
Right. No, 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 no. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like saying there's an 8% drop in uh, clicks. Yeah, but we're
Right.
talking trillions of clicks. So,
Or correct, correct.
hmm.
So
Well, interesting.
I know, I just, I'm trying to, I'm no soothsayer. Um, the last quarter was good for me,
Hmm.
in sales.
How about your
This
team? How about the team?
team did good.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Team was at or above, their quota,
Wow.
right?
Well, that's
Per-
good.
Personally, I'm paying a little bit back in April. April seems to be a little slow. Easter, some people take the Easter week for vacation, some take after Easter. Um,
You're taking a week off. It's
it's
you're
the
gonna
end of
yeah.
it's the end of the first quarter. All different things.
Do you
But
remember a time when all those would be just excuses, not reasons? Remember your manager hammering you on crap like that? Well, that doesn't make a difference. And I hate to say it, but I used to go through that all the time. And then what really opened my eyes was people would say, well, selling in California is the same as selling in New York, right? This is
yeah,
people
I don't think
thought
so.
that it isn't.
No,
I bought into it. Of course, that was before I moved to California, and then before I moved from California down south. It's
right.
like that's all bullshit. If anyone is telling you sales is sales, no matter where you're from,
Hey,
they're lying.
well, look at today in New Jersey. Today
Yeah,
we had a 4.8 magnitude earthquake.
I'm all shook up.
Yeah.
Did you feel
So,
it?
oh yeah, I felt
Oh
it.
no, shit.
Oh yeah. So normally the magnitudes in New Jersey, because there's a fault line in North Jersey,
Yep.
runs maybe twos or threes. And if you know a little bit about the Richter scale, and I don't profess to be an expert in the Richter scale, but every time it goes up that 1 point, it's almost 10 times the
That's right.
size,
Yes,
right?
it's an accelerator. Yep.
Correct. So I'm sitting here now. Now I had a guy coming over today to put a cap on my chimney. For years, I didn't have a cap on my chimney,
Okay. Well,
right?
that's an issue, but okay.
It's just a vent that's, maybe stops a bird from fucking falling in or
Prevents chimney
some,
fires.
um, anyway, it's just where the gas is vented now, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I needed one, gonna get a roof done. Guy comes over this morning. Says, I gotta get up on the ladder and I gotta measure. I go, fine, go ahead. So he goes, as far as I know, he knocks on the door and he says, okay, I'm done. I gotta go measure it. No, I measured it. I want to go get it, and I'll be back 3 to 4 hours later.
Right. Yeah.
So this is about 10:15 in the
Okay.
morning. Now I'm sitting here in my office, right? Upstairs, second level. I got 3 levels. And all of a sudden, the freaking walls start shaking, right? The house starts shaking. And I'm like, is that fat ass trying to get up the ladder? Is that do
Oh.
I hear him climbing on the, and I look out the window and I don't see a freaking ladder. And I'm like, well, what the hell was that? I didn't think about it. Only lasted about 10 seconds. Oh, I
Right.
did think, I go, is my house in that bad a shape that him going up a ladder
It's gonna shake it.
is making my house shake? I go, what do I got? Termites? So I got a call from my VP about 45 minutes later saying, I was just calling to check you had an earth. I heard you had an earthquake in Jersey. And I'm going, oh shit, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Freaking earthquake, right?
Right. So have you seen the online side? I mean, it's yeah, okay. So was at one point it was a 5.3. I think it's settling down about a 4.8 in New Jersey somewhere.
And a 4.8,
Um,
but a 4.8 for New Jersey is big.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if New Jersey, since they started measuring, if New Jersey had a 4.8. Luckily, we didn't
I
fall
don't
off it.
think so. Come to think, it's so funny. I moved from Southern California to North Carolina, and I think like the third day I was in North Carolina. I'm standing in a line at a bank, which no one does anymore, and boom, tumbler came through, and I'm just standing there from California. You know, you're used to these little things happening every now and then. Boom, come
Right.
through. It was less than 2 or 3 seconds, and it was a roller, a shaker. It wasn't like what you guys just had. I go, oh wow, earthquake. I didn't even think about it. I'm in North Carolina. They're not used to this. They were freaking out. It's like, oh yeah, it was an earthquake. But um the stuff online, because I knew it would be, I went to TikTok and boom, 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 boom. It hit at like 10:20, and by 10:23, people were online posting all their stuff. And the people are just, I sat down to play the guitar, and you hear it in the city art. You go, that's what an earthquake sounds like. It was like 10 seconds. It's a pretty good one. And
Well,
if you imagine the whole city of New York shaking, that's what it sounds like.
right,
With your imagination is dead on what that is. It's like a freight train.
right.
Um,
It was situated about 50 miles west of New York. But when you know more about the plates in this area, so
Mhm.
in California, I believe there's the earthquakes because there's different plates. They're more local, right?
There's two, and they're big and they're huge,
Right.
and California's going to fall off the map. Anyway,
So the plates in on the East Coast are even bigger.
yes, they
So
are.
so you're gonna feel the earthquake over a larger geographic area,
This one was only a mile deep.
right?
And Manhattan, there's something about the geological. There's like granite or whatever. There's a chunk of rock underneath the
It's all
the island.
bedrock.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're gonna feel it even more than whatever. Everyone's got analysis, but yeah, it was only a mile deep. That's not that deep, and so it was from New Jersey, Philadelphia felt it. It was a pretty good shaker. Which, okay, now we can just put on the tinfoil hats. I mean, you had the huge one over in Taiwan the other day. You got the eclipse coming.
yeah.
UFOs are real.
Yeah. Bunch of soothsayers out there about the earth, not the earthquake, the
The
eclipse.
eclipse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, might as well get up because this actually does have impact on business, by the way. All this kind of goofy ass talk. I mean, like, no one's talked about Taiwan is the biggest has the most
Ships.
fabs.
Yep.
Yeah, ships, but yeah, chips, right?
Ship. Ship.
So
Yeah.
if it's big enough, it's going to I don't think it did because Taiwan is used to that. Oh, there's a great story about the big building in Taiwan. We'll talk about it later. But so it does impact business, and I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, So I hang out with a bunch of buddies. We meet we're online. We talk about, I got 30 of these friends. One of them works for, I think, the state of Texas,
Right.
could be Oklahoma. Anyway, out there, and he's with the state. They've deployed him into the path of the eclipse. And
Why?
of course, I'm thinking, okay, why would you do that? I know what he works for this. He allocates resources for stuff like electric and water, utility stuff.
Right.
I'm going, well, what? Of course. What are they afraid of? Because no, we think there's going to be a lot of people there, and this small town cannot
Oh,
handle
got it. Yeah, I
a
did read
huge.
that. Yes.
And I mean, as he's explaining it to me, I'm going, that kind of makes sense. All right, so it's not like you're going to deploy military in the streets because it's not an eclipse; it's a UFO landing, right? Because no. So,
Just what we needed, UFO
yeah, just
landing, right?
but who would be surprised? It's like, oh, yeah, all right, whatever. Um, but it impacts business. The Taiwan thing impact. Imagine if a 7 hit New York City, financial cap. The whole
That would be a
market.
problem. That would be
It
a
would
problem
be an
because
issue.
the buildings aren't built for earthquakes
Oh
like they are
no.
in California.
Yeah. Oh, which reminds me, there's a huge tower in Taiwan, and I just learned this. I mean, it's big. It's really tall. It might be one of the tallest in the world, and it sways back and forth. But they've got a big, huge metal ball, like 3 stories tall, 4 stories wide, that
Right.
has cables attached to the infrastructure of this building.
Right.
And as the building shifts back and forth, the ball is suspended and somehow balances it out so that in some earthquakes it would sway 5 feet one way, 5 feet the other. It only sways 2 feet either way because it got this big balancing, humongous ball of metal down there. I've
Right.
never heard of it before, but everyone in Taiwan knows that there's a comic strip written about the ball and all this stuff. But I found
Interesting.
that kind of interesting. Yeah, yeah, very interesting.
So
So,
I was just looking off to the side. I was bringing up some of my updates from the week. We were
mhm,
talking about digital, production printing.
right.
Card through 2030.
What do you think?
2030, 6 years.
I know.
2030. Grow by $44.6
You're shitting me.
billion.
Oh, okay. 44.
Annual
Okay.
growth rate 7.5. Not as
That's
big
what
as
it's
MPS,
MPS.
but substantial at 7.5. So of course you've seen the likes of, I'm going to backtrack a little bit.
It's all right.
Sharp,
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Fuji, innovation, getting to the US marketplace. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, yeah. Um, hmm, I'm back. Okay. To figure out something. I may lose your art. I hate to say that, but it looks like something's going on with my electricity.
All right.
Regardless,
So if we lose you, I'll let
I'll
you
come
know.
back on. Yeah. Then.
So here's we're getting to that
Oh yeah, we are.
witching hour anyway. So one other thing that came across I think would be good for people to there was an industry survey for leasing, right? It said 19.4% of finance execs believe business conditions will improve in the next 4 months. But let's read that the other way.
Yeah, I was going to say. Did you say
Right?
19%?
Right.
That means 80%.
Right. Absolutely. 3.2% believe it'll worsen. All right. 25% believes there'll be an increase for leases. Another 3.2. So it was probably the same amount of people that voted on each one.
Right.
3.2 believes demand will decrease. And then this could lead to another talk track. Only 93% believe the economy is fair. So 6.5% think it's poor. You're looking at what? That adds up over
No way.
100%, doesn't it?
93 and 6. That's 99-ish.
Well, 90, yeah, this comes out to 100.01%.
Oh, okay. So like the
So
elections.
100% believe the economy is fair or poor.
Ooh.
100%, according to this
Well,
industry survey.
okay, that it dep didn't the jobs report just come out and 330,000 new jobs were done created?
Do you believe it? Because
No.
they come back a
Well,
month later or
yeah.
2 months later and they got to
They'll
revise
adjust
it.
down. Yeah.
Right.
And these jobs are not I don't we've been following that. I've been aware of that since the early 70s as a kid. I don't even know why. Oh, because I grew up outside Detroit, right? So the jobs report was a big freaking deal back then.
Right.
And the Japanese were bringing in these cars that had this high mileage and all
Right.
that stuff. And then Carter didn't, we had an embargo. But anyway, so we watched the job reports, we watched the union reports, we watched car manufacturing. That was something everyone, it was just part of daily living. So I know the difference between inflation and the consumer price index. There's
Yes.
a huge difference,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In, and inflation in the end really doesn't matter. It's how much did the eggs go up? How much did the bread go up? And
That's
then
how much
what
did
do you
the
mean you
gas go up? How much did my
gas go up?
heating bill go up? Right.
Right. I
And
mean,
and I learned that certain portions of that are not included in
oh
the
yeah,
inflation report. So
it gets
really,
worse.
is it really something I can rely on? Absolutely not. Why do
No,
they
you
have these?
can't, but everyone else does. So like people who adjust the interest rates, like the Fed,
Yeah,
look at the inflation rate. It's like, well, uh,
and it doesn't have everything in it.
it doesn't. The CPI, and they've changed that too. It used to
Right.
be bread, milk, eggs. There was a certain list of pricing that would, generate the index.
Yeah.
They've changed that over the years to include this or not include that. I mean, maybe some of it is legitimate, but still, it's a fuzzy number. It's now we're into it. It's almost like the crime has been going down, quote unquote. Statistically, crime is down. But when you dig deeper into the stats, it's like, well, 3 years ago, we changed the requirements for local law enforcement doesn't have to report their crime rate up. So that means Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, these
Chicago.
Chicago, they
Yeah.
don't report their numbers up. So guess what happens? The crime rate's gone down.
Yep.
Well, that's weird. Is it? No.
No.
You don't have to have a stats class to see this happening.
Well, just means that more people have to pay attention and not rely
Yeah,
on a sole source for their
that is the truth. That
news, especially when it comes to opinion news. And you can't get away from opinion news
well,
anymore.
that's just it. You got to know the difference between news and opinion,
Yeah.
between a report that doesn't use adverbs. That's any word. If a newscaster is using words that end in ly, it's not a journalistic approach. It's not a report. It's an opinion.
Right.
No, extremely large, dangerous. Those type of words. Those are not. It used to be you don't use those words. You just use the words that present the facts and let the audience throw danger or huge or whatever extreme on it in their heads. You don't
Yep.
say it. But anyway, we can go on for hours with that.
We could. So
Hmm.
I think we're out of chatter for today, right? The
Yeah,
witching
yeah, it
hour
was
is
good.
coming. I'll close the show.
Thank you.
Just wanted to thank Greg. It's always good to see Greg.
Good times.
And we probably enjoy these chats more than anybody else does, right?
That's the whole reason, though. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
Um, so everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for viewing the show. Always feel free to like, follow, and share our content. And we will not be live next week. I will be on vacation in Jamaica.
Unless I can convince you to log in from wherever the hell you're at, that'd be fun.
I
And
don't
I said log
know.
in.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding. Don't you dare. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
Absolutely. No, I'm
All
actually
right.
putting my signature email that I am out of the country and I will not be able to get my emails.
Shocking.
Yeah,
Love it.
shocking. Well, sometimes you got to turn it off, right?
Yes, you should. I
Yeah.
love it. Very
Everybody,
good. All right, Art.
thank you very much. And everybody have a great, fantastic weekend. And we'll see you next week. I mean, 2 weeks.